Right, so
God, that's hard.
we had a chat before then. We've only had the one chat before about what you were doing with your project.
Yeah.
So would you mind just recapping that
Yeah,
for
of
me so I
course.
can kind of remind myself where you were, what you were doing, because we've had Christmas and New Year since then.
Of course. Yeah, so basically in a nutshell, I finished my Masters in September and I was struggling to find a job, and then I found myself unemployed, so September came. And then obviously I was trying to keep myself busy, looking for jobs, going for interviews and things. And it just sort of came to me one day, just about maybe like writing a children's book. Just, a bit bizarre really. But because I know people in my family and like say other children, like friends' children who were going through like say unsettling thoughts and, because of the pandemic and things like that, there's just a lot of issues around, and kids, and they're not socialising the same because of COVID-19. So I wrote a book about like say unsettling, unhelpful thoughts, negative thoughts and stuff. And my daughter seemed to really like it, which, she's like my biggest critic. So I thought, well, if she likes it, it can't be that bad. And then I thought, well, I need to try and get it out there. But obviously I don't have, any experience with writing a book before. I'm not a book author, I didn't even try to become one. It just sort of fell into my life and I just went with it. So I got in touch with a friend, not about the book, but just went for coffee, Shelley. And then she obviously, spoke to you about me, and then we ended up just emailing and then just meeting up. And it was just, we connected, networked, and it was really great. And so I didn't do too much over the Christmas period because it's just a weird time, isn't it? It's like a bit of a stagnant time, you're sort of settling down. So I didn't really touch the book too much. But
especially with family and I
that's
I think
it.
that downtime when it's with family, it's like that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
And it's okay to not do too much at Christmas time.
Yeah.
But I obviously did get a job since in that period of time. So, I've started a new job too. So I've had obviously Christmas period, New Year, and then starting a new job. But obviously this year I'm like really ready and set to go and to get my book out there if I can.
Well, I just got to start with a big respect because job, mom, writing a book.
Yeah.
And I kind of just turn up, go to work and then...
Yeah, but you do it all right. You do it well. It works.
Got a long way to go still. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. So the book idea then, so you're basically, where are you at with that? What have you written so far?
To be honest, I haven't really, like say you've got an idea, a concept, and it's quite personal, and sometimes you're like, you don't want to sort of share it at first because you're thinking, what if it's just in my head and it's a load of rubbish? So I had those thoughts running through my mind. But a couple of days ago I did share it with my sister. And she's highly academic as well as like she writes poetry, and she is the writer really on the side of a normal job. And she was really it was amazing. You need to publish it now. So when you have someone that you respect telling you something like that, it validates you, and it's like, okay, so I'm not talking rubbish then.
So what you showed her, is that a complete book? Is it?
Yeah, but obviously it's a children's book, like a psychological children's book. I didn't mention, like say, I'm focusing around like a psychoeducational approach and mindfulness approach. Because I spoke to you about it, maybe like a spiritual, but no, I think that's wrong. Mindfulness is a spiritual practice, and that's like an evidence-based psychological approach. So that's what it is. So I won't say too much about the book because obviously, like we mentioned, I haven't, done the legalities around it, and the title and everything. No,
I think you're right to do that at the moment, especially as you start to kind of maybe build a little bit of hype and get some excitement going.
That's it.
When you start to talk about the book and name it, and you want to make sure you've got it all protected.
Yeah, definitely. And we did speak about that, didn't we? And I made notes on that, but that's something that I need to look into and get set in stone.
Well, I think as we touched on before, I think a couple of things really is, have you got a name for it? Have you got an idea of what you want to call it?
Yes, I have the name.
Yeah.
And do you remember? Because you were really enthusiastic about it.
I remember bits of it because I think that you bounced off off each other a little bit.
Oh yes, and you gave me ideas about like say about the narrator and like a woodland animal, because I'm sort of implementing a nature theme within it as well. And I took on board that idea.
So you,
and I did edit it.
You did quite like.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah.
And I will share with you, like, say, later or something like.
Oh, great! Yes.
Yeah, because it's.
Well, how about what we could do then is after we finished chatting today.
Yeah.
Maybe you could start to think through some timelines for yourself. Set yourself
definitely.
a few target dates.
Yes.
And then when you've got it protected, got the URL, maybe got the Twitter address and all that kind of stuff, the Instagram, because it's nice and visual.
Yes, definitely.
And so that would be good. I think one of the things I want to mention while it's fresh in my mind is one of the things that people forget when they're starting either a side hustle or if it's something that they want to become a business or something like you're doing. Yeah. I think that people sometimes forget the importance of building the community. Yeah. So what I would recommend is, if you're pretty set on the name, do some checks to see if it's still available. Yes. I think we talked about that before.
Yes, and I haven't, so I need to get on that.
Well, if you struggle with it, just let me know. Just drop me a message. But it's things like just going on Company's House, seeing if anyone's got a company registered. Because if someone's got a company registered in that name, and it's attached to the same category that you're wanting to operate in, media, children's books, then
it's a no-go.
That could be a problem. Now, it's not always the case. Yeah. I mean, if you think of something like Polo, you've got the Polo car, you've got the Polo suite, and you've got the Polo brand for clothing.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So they've kind of all come to an agreement that they were all happy because they were clearly operating in different sectors. So I think it's just deciding on your name, and then doing those checks. Yeah. URL, Company's House, seeing if there's any social accounts. Yes. And then when you're ready, and if you're thinking, this is it, grab hold of it. Now, once you've done that, and you've got that ownership, that's when then you really want to start thinking about building your community. Even if it's going to take you 3, 4, 5, 6 months to go to publication, if you start ASAP, you can start to say little things like, I'm really excited to be 3/4 of the way through my first book. Can't wait to share it with my audience. And then you can start to tag people that you think are going to be interested in sharing. That's right. So if that's one thing that's probably just sprung to mind is build the community now, ready for when you need it
want
later.
to go publishing it.
Yeah. So are you aiming it for individual children? How are you seeing it from a marketing perspective?
I'm seeing it as, obviously a book for children. I visualise, a very colourful book, because there's parts of it. Well, the main theme of it is a leaf. Okay. Yeah, because I spoke to you about it. I don't know. If you remember. So you've got that aspect of nature. So I really, and animals, and so I want it to be sort of really quite green and woodlandy, and
a bit like your actually I was just thinking that's green and animals and
a bit like the blouse.
Yeah.
I thought that, I put it on, I thought,
that fits.
It does, it's fitting.
It's like the marketing, I like that.
That's it. Subconsciously marketing. So I can visualise the illustrations almost. And just lots of colour. Obviously it's directed for children, but I do believe that this book would be really beneficial for parents. I think the way I've worded it, it's obviously really simple language for children to understand, but also I think parents will benefit from it because the way I'm sort of describing thoughts, which I've not really come across too much in other children books, and that's why I wanted to make and create this book, because I want it to be a bit more different. I saw a gap, basically. So
we touched on that last time. I remember when we were saying that the way we think as children and then into young adults and adults, and the way our brains work, we're never really shown how that works, and yet our brain leads our thoughts, our actions, our emotions, but no one's given us a user manual and said, right, this is how you do it.
Well, that's
so I think we could really be onto something
and
useful.
It's there's so many books out there which is like how to manage negative thoughts, or behaviours, but there's not, you know, so much out there which sort of suggests or tries to give, you know, how to train your brain, or, you know, it's okay if you have negative thoughts and how to deal with that, rather than just going, oh, you have the anxiety, this is how you cope with the anxiety. Well, let's get to the core of it, of, you know, those negative thoughts, because we all have them, you know, and even adults, we all have them, don't we? And it's how we cope with those.
It's like it's like an internal voice, isn't it?
It is the internal voice.
And I think for some people that voice is turned up loud and can be negative.
Yeah.
I think for some people it's maybe positive.
Yes.
And I actually feel that for people who are getting those positive reinforcements with their internal voice, they're quite lucky.
Yeah, that's
because
it.
I think that, I don't know about you, but for me personally, I've got better at using questions to set my internal voice going in a helpful way rather than a negative way.
Yeah, so. Definitely.
And I was just thinking about the children as well, because you kind of want it to be almost incidental with children.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice. I mean, you know, in the past I was a primary school teacher.
Yeah. And
what I used to find worked best was when you were talking about topics.
Yeah.
So if you were talking about the World Cup, or you were talking about the Olympics, or you were talking about some type of exciting project, children would then buy into that and get excited. And then, incidentally, they're then starting to learn, their maths develops, their English develops.
So, exactly. It's getting them interested in it.
Yes, and I think if you've got that idea with your storybooks, which you have, children are going to start. They're going to start learning positive ways to help themselves.
And you also, when we spoke in December, you said something which was really, really good.
There was one thing, wasn't there? Quick.
Just the one thing.
Come on, grab it.
You said something about. Did you say about maybe like getting my book on a podcast, or like on video, audio, and creating the character, and, you know, dressing up, and you were really enthusiastic about it, but it really stayed with me, and I can really see that happening as well.
Great.
Because, you know, I'm quite theatrical, and I'd love to be able to sort of do something, you know, a bit different on that score.
I think you said you think visually as well.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the characters, seeing the world.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
I remember there was a channel, I think it was in Korea, and basically I'm pretty sure it's South Korea, and in South Korea they have got a very kind of a very intense education system.
Yeah.
And so the children are working very long hours. And so if they're struggling with particular topics, they have extra study and extra tuition. Okay. And there's this one channel, and this guy teaches mathematics. But what he does is he dresses up in costumes.
Oh, right, great.
But really like crazy out there, and the children absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And he's got this business model where they pay so much a month. I think it equates to like £25 a month.
Yeah.
And the children just hook in, tune in, and they watch him teaching about different aspects of maths. But he's doing it in a really fun way.
Where they don't even see themselves as learning, because it's just so fun and engaging. So
yeah. So I was kind of wondering last time, which you brought back to me, is wouldn't it be cool if you could start to, like you say, bring these characters alive?
Yeah, exactly.
In an alternative way that gets people interested.
Well, that's it. Because it's a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, that comes back to what we were saying about building a community.
Yeah.
It'd be a good way to start talking about some of these characters.
But exactly, and then it's also about, because it's such a purposeful book, and, you know, when you're doing something like this, it's not just about me, or me just gaining sort of anything from it. It's about, like, say, community, and like getting other people involved, you know, other people who might be interested, or, you know, if I got them to read the book and they're really interested in it, then they could come on board in the way that, like, maybe they could be a voice, you know, like if someone could be a narrator, or if someone else wants to be, you know, the young girl, which is the main character of it, and, you know, just make it really creative, really.
Yeah, I really like that. I think that's a good idea, you know, like you say, talking about community.
Yeah. Finding
people that have got the skill sets that might want to get involved and have got the expertise.
Well, that's it, because not one of us holds everything, do we? So we need each other to, you know, help each other out, and some people are more skilled in certain areas. I mean, for instance, like illustrations and stuff, I haven't got a clue. I'm not any good at that, so I'd need someone to, like, come in on that, and, you know, that's what I've got to think about. But also, because the illustrations, being a children's book, it's so important.
Yeah.
You don't just want to be paying minimum for like shoddy work. You want someone who's really got an interest in that type of area and stuff, and you want to make sure it's, you know, it's a good job as well. So
yeah.
So
Well, there's a couple of things there that jump to mind again, if it's useful and helpful for you. Is there are quite a lot of freelancer websites, so Fiverr, people per hour. I think there's one called Freelancer, I think. So it'd be worth Googling and finding some of those sites. And actually, you know, sometimes, yes, you're right, you don't want to pay someone too little, but you can get some really good quality work at a reasonable price. So I think it'd be worth exploring that.
That's it, shopping around.
Yeah, and remember what we said last time about you want to get someone to maybe sign.
That's it. That's what I
sign a little bit of a disclaimer.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be sharing your work with potentially 20 artists.
Well, that's
and you work with one of them. So I mean, you can get them to sign an NDA if you just do a research again on Google and just put non-disclosure agreement and just see what pops up. You should be able to get a pretty standard one, which should be enough. And then if you remember the other thing is if you do get a freelancer to do any work, you want them to put on their invoice that all of the copyright, IP, all that protection is yours on payment of the invoice, which is quite nice for both sides.
Yeah, definitely, just to be clear and stuff. So.
Yeah. I was just thinking as well about how you could kind of take this to the next level of excitement and press and really build those followers that you want and that engagement. And there's a couple of things that spring to mind. The first one is something called NFTs at the moment, which is quite popular. Non-fungible tokens, which we may have
mentioned a little bit, but
briefly touched on before. Now, it's quite a newish phenomenon. I mean, it is getting quite a lot of press at the moment. It's becoming a bit more mainstream. You've got some quite well-known organisations now that are creating NFTs. I think Nike have done one, Adidas, Manchester City Football Club, I think they've done one. And basically what they allow you to do is to create a piece of art which is a unique piece of art, so it's a bit like a fingerprint. But what you can also do is you can attach that piece of art to something else, and that something else could be access to your book. Now there's a couple of things you could look at as part of your marketing strategy, and I'll come back to this in a minute. But as part of your marketing strategy, we want to create a bit of a funnel for you. I'll explain that in more detail in a minute. But going back to the NFT, you create that little piece of digital art. And as I say, an individual piece. You can then attach that to something physical, but also digital. So if you did an ebook maybe for free, which might be a really, really short version, which introduces the characters and the landscape and the world, but doesn't actually go into the stories, you could start to give something away for free, or you could give a taster, you could give the first chapter. And that's part of something that could be part of your funneling and your marketing aspect, as well as being something as part of this NFT project. Now, what happens with the NFT is you would, again, an artist, help you to create these individual images. You decide how many you wanted to create, say 2,500, 5,000, it's up to you. And then you would have the individual pieces of art. They actually go on a specific platform where you can then sell them, and there is a marketing approach again. But without getting too technical on NFTs, I just wanted to mention that to you. And again, it's something that we could maybe explore to support you with. Because it's unique, it would get press. Probably the most important thing about it though is it takes out that middle cost of you, the creator, going direct to your audience. There'd be no middleman fees, as it were, no commissions to pay. It's just you, the creator, engaging with your audience, them getting interested and some wanting to buy it from you, and they will just be purchasing that NFT. And there's so many exciting things you can do with it. For example, you could create a different type of NFT. So some might just be access to the book. Some might be access to speak to you as the author on a video call. Some might be to get to actually come and hear you talk at an event that we're doing an event later in the year, so maybe you could come along to that, and some of the people could come and meet you. You could attach it to that. There's so many things, if you're creative, which you are as a writer. There are so many things that you could actually create that makes it really engaging for your fans. So
fans.
Yeah, your fans. Yeah. So how cool would that be? Your fans and your readers. So there's that, and then just going back to the funnel idea. When you've got a product, whether it's a book, whether it's an album, whether it's a physical product, a really, really good way to help build the audience again in the community is to think about what you could give people that isn't going to cost them anything but gives them really good value. So, as I say, you might be able to give them a little bit of a taster of a couple of chapters. You might want to create maybe a little side story that isn't as in-depth but just introduces them to the world, world of Mr. and Mrs. Leaf or whatever it is. That's a way you could then start, because what you're then saying on your channels, your Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, whatever it is we're using as your channels, you've then got an ability to give them something for free. So it might be, we'd like to introduce you to this new world to support children in these challenging times. So it's aimed at the parents. And then they might be then clicking on that link, downloading it, and then they can give you feedback as well on the characters, the world, and then you're starting to build that really nice, healthy connection and relationships. And then what comes next is you build in your mailing list, because you've got 2,000-3,000 people in your mailing list. What happens next is your email then says, just wanted to let you all know that the launch of the book is February, March, April, whenever, and we're giving away 30 free copies to the first 30 people that retweet this information, share this information. So again, you can use kind of the release as a way to build engagement, and then you've got people interested and wanting to buy, and then you start to move people through this funnel. You could go free information, you could then go low priced ebook, and then you could go into your full book, and then the series 1, series 2.
Oh yeah, we spoke about the series, didn't we?
How do you think of all that? Because I know I've just thrown a lot at you.
It's a lot, but I'm really interested to know more about it and stuff. And definitely like possibility of going down that road. Why not? But it was just initially just this book as an idea and stuff. Well, obviously the book that I've written, but your creative juices get flowing, don't they? And then you start thinking about something else, and then so who knows? Do you
remember the Animals of Falling Wood?
Of course I do. I used to love that.
So because that made me think of it with your ideas and all those different characters, and it was so engaging.
It was, wasn't it? Me and my brother loved it.
So it might be that you start off, you test it, you get feedback. I mean, another thing you could do is you could contact your child's school and see if you could go in as an author and do a speaking event, and you could get some feedback on what the children think. And again, during our times at the moment, if you can't physically go in,
that's it, isn't it?
Talk to the school about doing a Zoom call with them.
And with my new job role as well, I do work one-to-one with children and stuff, so I could speak to my new employers and just see what because it's all about helping their mental health and well-being and stuff in the job role that I do. So there's lots of options, and I need to just start talking about it more now. I've spent a couple of months of just like, don't know if this is going to be anything. I've got this idea, I've got these words, I'm not really sure, but now I'm like, no, I've got a book.
Now it's a real thing.
I'm making it real now.
Great. It's exciting, and it's the beginning of 2022, so it's a great chance to move something forward. And I think that it'll do well. Obviously, if it's a good book, I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read it yet.
If it's a good book, it's got a good chance of doing well, because it's a positive story. I mean, your employers, I imagine, to be able to talk about something like that with a member of staff. This is what we're doing to help people. It would be a great news piece again. So the PR and the press you could get. So again, it might be worth you just going away and having a think about the stages. Because if you start to plan what the stages might be on that journey, you can then start to come back and work out your tasks. So that it kind of lines up together.
And I need that. The way my mind works, I do need need like sort of little deadlines for myself.
Yeah.
I work well with that. So, like I say, those stages, and you know, having those in place so I can reach certain targets then with what I want to do. Yeah, that's probably a really good way to work.
Well, we'll be watching this back and listening to this recording today. So when I watch it through, if I can, you know, I'll also look at a few of the things we've talked about.
Yes.
And you know, I can drop you an email as to thoughts as to how that might work for my thoughts, and then you add to it.
Yes, definitely.
You know, I think the first thing is the protection of the name. And once you've got that done, then we could start to think about moving on to the other parts.
Because we spoke about that in December, I have been a bit sort of not wanting to say the name. Yeah. Very protective of the name.
I've got this book idea. Oh, great. What's it about and what's it called? Well, it's about a leaf and a few animals, and I can't tell you anything else, so I'll have to shoot you.
Yeah, I can't tell you the title. Like, you know, these people are going to just go right out and make that book, you know. It's a bit silly thinking realistically, but yeah, you've got to be a bit protective and just make sure, I need to make sure I go through the legalities the right way and stuff too.
I think once you've got that done and you've got the social media sites locked, and the website locked, then it's fine, because some people actually do go and register things that they hear, thinking that someone's going to want that. Yeah. I mean, think about NFTs at the moment. Yeah. There are not many people creating NFTs. No. There's going to be a lot more people creating them in the future. There's a lot of people understanding it now and buying them and selling them and trading them, and more people are starting to do projects. Yeah. But you imagine if, I mean, I've mentioned Manchester City. Yeah. Imagine if Manchester United wanted to do an NFT and someone registered Manchester United NFT. Who are MU going to go and talk to? This is what happened when you know, all the apps started coming out and businesses wanted to get online and set up different accounts. You know, people started to register them, and it became an industry in itself. I mean, you can buy and sell URLs for websites now. So I think, you know, you're doing the right thing. Yeah. With your help. To be honest, you're going to get there anyway.
I know, but you might speed up the process.
Maybe a tiny bit.
And connect.
Maybe a tiny bit, yeah. If we can do anything to help. Yeah, you know, we really can. So it would be good, you know, to come back and see us again. Yes. And then maybe you could do an update. And then maybe you could actually tell us what it's called and what it's about. You could tell us how many children you've frightened to death. And how many have run away screaming and gone, oh, what's this book? I don't like it.
Yeah, I'll give you the good, bad and ugly of it.
Good, bad, yeah. How many children managed to go to sleep normally that night? And how many woke up screaming saying, that's scary, leave.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good.
Yeah.
Brill,
thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. We're done.
Yay.